Beliefs, choices, results. That's the way that it works. If you get crap results, it's because you make crap choices, and you make crap choices based on a dumb, outdated belief system that doesn't serve you. Today's video, we're going to be talking about why women cheat. I had a few guys over the last few months ask me to specifically do a video, and I have an endless supply of emails from people and DMs. Why did my girlfriend cheat on me? Insert scenario and then insert excuse. So let's hop right into it and enlighten some of you folks that have been sitting in the dark, perhaps. This should be quite useful for you. Women cheat simply because of hypergamy, and all that really boils down to, what is hypergamy, you're asking? There's a card up in the top right. You should watch that video afterwards, but quickly defined, it is women's need to always achieve the best deal they can get. Hypergamy constantly has women asking themselves, is this the best I can do? And that's really what it boils down to. And a lot of guys think that they can isolate themselves from hypergamy just by getting married, or by putting in loads into the relationship, what we like to call relationship equity. And that's not true. Any guy that's had his heart broken, his wife cheat on him, run off on him, bang Steve from accounting or Kevin from sales, knows exactly what I'm talking about. And, of course, you're going to have the white knights and, the feminists pile in right now. Well, men do it too. That's not what we're talking about. Women cheat for different reasons than men. I want to focus this video specifically on what the engine is behind the action. So there's a lot more clarity for you guys, if you will. All that hypergamy, you guys always question my pronunciation. All that it really is women constantly wanting to make sure they have the best deal they can possibly get. Now, there's caveats, there's like little footnotes to this whole notion, and I'll give you a real good example. I knew this guy, well, not him, but through a woman that I was dating. Her best friend was always complaining about her husband locking himself up in the room. He was constantly depressed, taking a load of time off work, always complaining about the guy, and constantly threatening divorce, but would never leave him. And if you took one look at her, you would know why. It's because of options. Hypergamy is there. It's always hardwired into the feminine imperative. It's there for a reason. It's so that it's really a survival mechanism, right? Men are the bigger, stronger, more aggressive, less agreeable sex, and women are more the softer, kinder, sort of caring and nurturing sort of sex. And for women to be successful with their children, it was always imperative throughout history, through evolution, for them to pair bond with the best provisioning male they could get. That doesn't necessarily always mean that it's the child's father. It doesn't always mean that she's going to stay with you just because you have children with her. Some guys' sexual strategy is put a baby in her, and that'll keep her around. And they've seen how well that works out for them. So I think it's incredibly important to note that that doesn't solve anything. Getting married doesn't solve anything. There's all these buffers that guys like to have. I moved her into my house. I bought her the diamond ring that she wanted. I moved across the country to take whatever major she was taking at her university or college. The list is endless. I renovated the bathroom the way that she wanted to. I finished the basement so I can move her, her mom in, and blah, 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 blah. And they think that, because we do all these things, that we, invest into the relationship, or we put relationship equity into what it is that, we think that we have, that's a security blanket, and it's some form of buffer. There was a study that was updated recently, and women acknowledge that 50% of them, it used to be 42%, it's now about 50%, have a backup plan. Doesn't mean they're cheating, but they have a backup plan guy that they can monkey branch over to. And if you're newer to the channel, that means, leaving one guy and swinging over to a better deal sort of thing. That's all that is. About half of women admit to having a backup plan that they can move to should their husband, boyfriend, friends with benefits, whatever it is, doesn't work out. Whatever the, definition of the current relationship might be. But that's 50% of women that admit to having a backup plan. Every woman is hypergamous, and they will always monkey branch out to a better deal if they can get it, if their guy is no longer the best deal that they can get. Let me go back to the story of the guy that locked in his room. So she didn't go anywhere, again, because her sexual marketplace value, her SMV, was in the toilet. It was gone. Packed on tons of weight, very unattractive, dressed poorly, terrible job, made almost no money, constantly fighting, very disagreeable. Kids in tow, obviously, because, they were married, they had a couple kids. And she didn't have the option to leave. If a woman has the option to leave and her sexual marketplace value is high enough, she will cheat, she will find a better deal, and she will leave any guy that she deems to be a loser. Women are funny. I said this earlier this week on Twitter, because they'll demand we must be more caring and loving and tax the rich and better social programs and open borders and more immigration and blah, 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 blah. Long list, right? They have a long list of requirements that they expect of society and men to placate their whims. But then in the next breath is, you must be at least 6 feet tall to get on this ride. That's my favorite one. You have to watch what women respond to. That's where guys go incredibly wrong, where they keep asking, why do women cheat? Why did she cheat on me? Why was she banging Kevin from sales? She left me and took the kids, and all I watch now is my money flow to her, and I'm alienated. I don't see my children. I live in my parents' basement. All right, par for the course, guys. You have to get it through your head that the narrative that you were sold, the lie that you were sold growing up, function through things like Disney movies, religion, family, media, sitcom TV shows, films, from Hollywood. Most of them have all lied to you and given you this narrative, this rom-com narrative of, just be a good guy and wife her up and, happy wife, happy life. Well, anybody that's heard that, those sets of lyrics that hasn't got a good set of results out of it knows exactly what I'm talking about right now, because you've lived it and you're hopefully getting some answers out of this video. So, gentlemen, it is incredibly important for you to acknowledge that her actions always express her priorities. So many dudes are pining for women that left them, and they'll do anything. They'll get down on a knee. They'll send flowers and letters and notes, and nothing dries up women more than stuff like that, than a guy that has no options. Nothing turns her off more than a guy that bends the knee to her all the time. But that's what we've been told, right? We've been told by society to, be less so she can become more. And this isn't a video to disparage women or disparage men or any of those things. All I do, fellas, is I just point to the cold hard truth and the facts and the reality of the sexual marketplace. I mean, for crying out loud, 600 videos in, I've got a massive community of guys in my 1% that's really doing hardcore work on themselves. There's too many dudes out there today still that subscribe to a fairy tale myth and belief system that gets some terrible results. I've talked about belief systems before. Let me touch on it again real quick. Belief system comes from your gut, from your hardwiring. It's basically the operating software that you use that governs your decision-making process. Okay? That's all that it is. And if your belief system, I can always tell what somebody's belief system looks like, because all I got to do is look at the results, right? Women constantly leave them. They do terrible in the sexual marketplace. They're broke. I can always look at the results and know what their beliefs are. It's just reverse engineering, right? Beliefs, choices, results. That's the way that it works. If you get crap results, it's because you make crap choices, and you make crap choices based on a dumb, outdated belief system that doesn't serve you. So, gentlemen, it is time for you to update your belief system, because if you're going around on YouTube or Google's and searching for how do I get her back, or why did she leave me, or I'm confused as to why she behaved this way or that way, and there's so many notions and lies, man. One of the biggest ones that I want to touch on before I wrap up on this video is the buffer that a lot of guys subscribe to when it comes to things like religion. I've always got some blue pill plugged in white knight beta in my comments on a social post when I'm exposing some cold hard truth about the sexual marketplace, going, well, what you have to do is you have to move to this state, and there's more this religious women, and you wife one of those up and find one that's a virgin, blah blah blah. That's a great one. I saw this interview piece the other day about Mormon culture. I think it's in Utah, and they have this thing called soaking. So let's talk about, these virgin religious women that this guy's telling you to wife up. They have this thing called soaking. And if anybody's got half a brain in their head with an IQ, they know that once a woman has sex, once there's an insertion, virginity is lost. But they have this excuse. You know, humans like to complicate their lives and then justify why they do it. They have this excuse called soaking, which apparently, as this was news to me, you put it in and you don't move. There's no pump in, there's nothing. It's just, they just soak is what they call it. So apparently that circumvents the religious need to be a virgin, because the definition that these kids are using to define losing their virginity is actual pumping action. Okay. So every other hole is game plus soaking. So this is the logic that they use. But if these chicks have, soaked with 20 guys, you think they're a virgin? You think that just because they subscribe to a certain religious belief system that they are never going to leave you? I've talked to a lot of guys. I've coached hundreds of men now, and I've talked to a lot of guys. I talked to a guy the other week that wifed up a religious girl, conservative values, intact family, not, parents were never divorced, good siblings, this, that, and the other thing. But because his sexual marketplace value declined, let's say she was a 7 when they got married and he was a 9, hypergamy needs to get to a higher level than where it's at. It's only happy if it's with somebody of greater value than itself. That's why you see the $30,000 a year hairdresser marry the $200,000 a year VP of accounting. Kevin from sales, or, Steve from accounting, actually, sorry. I keep getting those two guys mixed up. They're all over the place, Kevin and Steve. So the whole point of that is, guys, is that is not a buffer. This woman was divorcing him, taking the kids. She filed a false domestic violence claim against him to get him out of the house. He'd had no access to the kids, which gave her full control of the divorce process. And this was a good religious woman from a good, background, conservative values, intact family, no divorce, good siblings, doing the right thing. But guess what? Because his SMV declined, because he wasn't able to hold down a job, because he wasn't chasing excellence, she bounced on him. And she utilized every tool in the toolbox to optimize her hypergamy on the divorce, on the exit. So, gentlemen, it's incredibly important to unplug from the lies and from the things that don't serve you. Watch what women respond to, guys. At the very least, if you take anything from this video, watch what everybody, men and women, what happens in business transactions with your employer, with your coworkers, with women on the sexual marketplace. Watch what people respond to. Don't listen to what they say. Watch what they respond to and what their behaviors are. If there's a conflict between her behavior and the choices that she makes every day, you must, in all circumstances, without a doubt, believe the behavior. All right?
All right, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed that clip. If you want to check out the full-length podcast episode, you can find that right over here. Also, make sure you visit my website over here, where you'll find my supplements, the opportunity to book me privately one-on-one for coaching, and most importantly, my new School of Unplugging, which you'll find on the courses tab. Newer to the channel? Hit subscribe.